Hi, Gaye DeRusso with the Majestic rider. Today I'm going to ride Sport. This is a horse I trained about 4 years ago and sold him. And now the people are cutting back on how many horses they have because they have a lot. And so I'm tuning him up. Don't climb over the mounting block. And he's 8 years old now. I sold him when he was 4. So what I'm doing is making sure he remembers everything he used to know, making sure he does it correctly, and that he doesn't have any bad habits, because once you sell a horse, you never know what the people do with it, and sometimes they do good things and sometimes they do bad things. So when I sell horses, no matter if they were my horse before or somebody else's horse, I'm just getting his head down. Now I'm going to do lateral flexion. I'm trying to make sure I know what they know to try to make it the right match for the person. And you don't know that until you test the horse, and then you also have to test the person. Now, sometimes lots of you don't want to go where the horses are. It's too far, or it's too much money to get yourself there. He has a Brenda Imus bit in, and somebody asked me about these the other day. I don't think he likes it so much, so I am going to change it. He's always opening his mouth. And it's a little bit of a thicker bit, so some of them like it and some of them don't. So he remembers the lateral flexion, and now I'm just doing vertical flexion. So what I'm trying to do is make sure I know what the horse knows and what the people know. I'm just going to make some circles, and then we're going to go out on the trail. So I like when they first come back that even when I'm going to go out on the trail, then I make sure they're paying attention before I leave. I don't just get on and go unless the horse has been with me a while. So he's not bending, and we want to make sure he bends so we can get around the trees out there pretty good, and to make sure he's paying attention. So let's go back to, sometimes you don't want to fly or go there to meet the horse. I try and make lots of videos. When I know somebody's not coming, I give them directions on how the horse rides. I try to tell them the good and the bad things about the horse. Most people don't tell you bad things. But I try to tell them, like, though, this might upset him, or you need to get him out. He needs work. Don't let him sit. If he does, lunge him. Don't take chances. This is a young horse. And, have a trainer to help you. Make sure they're good and they understand Gaited, or at least have natural horsemanship skills. And I will give people information like that, and then I try to keep in touch, so if they have any questions, I can help them solve it, because I'm the one who knows the horse the best, okay? So now the owners know the horse, but of course when you're a trainer, you pick up lots of things the owners don't catch, or the owners have let them do some bad stuff. So I want to make sure these horses are successful when they leave with the next person, and that's why I always like to take them back to sell them. And I always have their old videos too, so the person can see how the horse used to be. Okay, so he's doing pretty good. He does stop to go to the bathroom. It's the only bad thing. But when he first showed up, he didn't bend so well in the arena. He was a little energetic, and maybe that's because they hadn't ridden him in some time. And every day now he's getting quieter, and he's getting used to the new surroundings, because I don't know if they took him and traveled with him at all. When I had him, I rode him all over. I traveled, trailered him out, rode him alone, rode in groups. I did all that stuff, but not everybody does that. And then the horses change. They get used to not doing those things, and then they're not as good at them. So if you want your horse to travel and camp well, you got to travel and camp with it and take it places, and know it's going to be bad in the beginning. Even if the horse used to do it 20 years ago, it's got to get used to doing it again. So now we're leaving. We're heading out. If you want to ride the horse alone, you got to get him used to riding alone. Now, I used to ride this horse alone all the time. It was just me and him, and then we rode in groups, but I don't know if they rode alone much. Most people don't. So I'm going to see how he does, knowing that this might not be the best ride, but he's only going to get better. Those are 2 dinosaurs over there. Horses sometimes sound like dinosaurs. Okay, so he's looking a little bit, and all I'm doing is just kind of vibrating my fingers. So I'm trying to get his attention. There's a blanket right here on the tractor. They all look at that. This is a white horse. Some horses haven't seen lighter colored horses. And so you just never know. Okay, and I can't remember if I had any light colored horses when he was around. And so all he did was look, but I don't let them do that. I just vibrate the bit and get their attention back on me. So he's shortening his step to go down the hill, and that's what he's supposed to do, because you want them to rock back on their back end. Okay? So when they're shortening their step in the beginning to go down the hill, I do not push them faster. There's a horse that sometimes pops out here, and he's looking for it. There he goes. So now you can take a look. Remember, they see different than us. So if I'm going to let them look, I do it at a standstill, because if they're looking at something and walking down the trail, they're very likely to trip because they're not paying attention to the trail. So that's one reason that I don't let the horses look around when I'm walking. So now he's not paying attention that much. Now again, this is his first time going out in the farm. We know there's always people in here hiding with red, blue, and green colors. Those are their favorite colors to wear to spook our horses, not on purpose. And so what I'm going to do is immediately I'm going to give them something to do. So I'm just going to do some leg yielding here. There's a horse coming up in front of us. It's in the shade. Remember, they see different than us. So you're just highly aware, because maybe the horse doesn't see it. Maybe your new horse has cataracts because you didn't know it and you got it from an auction, and they don't always have real vet checks. And so you want to be hyper aware of everything and really be riding the horse, making him pay attention. So you'll see his head's down. I don't have a lot of contact. See, even when I drop it, he's keeping his head down, but now he's starting to look around. Now see how I let go and something moved off in the bushes and he spooked. Not bad at all. He just spooked in place. But I wasn't helping him at all, okay? If you're there helping them in the beginning, you have a light contact, but your range short, you can steer much better to help the horse. And you know in the beginning when they're coming back from not being worked a lot, that they're always going to be jumpier, and then they're just going to get better and better with work. That's like they say, a tired horse is a good horse, because it's one that's worked the energy off, just like your kids and your dogs and your friends that have ADHD. Once they get their energy worked off, they're much better. So all I'm going to do is a little serpentine now, because he's starting to look around at things. So a horse that looks around is not a bad horse. It's just a horse that either somebody has let them look around, or they've been following other horses and the person didn't really care. Okay? So you want to make sure your horse is paying attention to you. I'm looking at the terrain here. I know he's not paying a ton of attention, so there's a bump right there. So I decided to go around the bump, because the tarp over here always flies up, and if he's paying attention to the tarp and going over the bump at the same time, he just might trip. I mean, who wouldn't? So you got to use your common sense too. Okay, so going out here, since this is our first time, we don't want to go too slow. And something jumped out again. That's okay. This has been a new trail to him, and again, if they haven't ridden him alone, why would he be all confident out here? He's a young horse. So that's telling me I got to get his confidence back. I got to get him paying attention to me. You know, maybe they just let him look around, who knows? Or maybe they didn't have stuff like this on their trails. There's, you know, people get worried when they see them spook, and I go, well, horses spook. It's best you see them spook and see what they do, versus the person says they never spook, and then when it spooks, it spins and does a 360. Spooking in place doesn't scare me, and it's helpful. If a tree falls, a bike goes to hit you or something, your horse doesn't spook, you're going to get hit with something. Rather than have him spook and try to get us out of the way. So he's got a nice flat walk. You'll see his head going up and down. He's engaging himself. He's pushing with his back end. And this is a steep hill. Nobody ever thinks it's a steep hill, but it is a steep hill. And so you're probably going to hear him huffing and puffing. Most of the horses, when they come back in for sale, are not in shape. That's why people are usually getting rid of them, because they're not riding them enough. Okay, they always leave in shape, but they always come back out of shape. If that tells you anything. That's why I always say, people always say they're going to ride more than they're going to, or they get too many horses and you can't ride them all. That's all. So he's looking around. They all look around up here, especially when I go up to the steps. They all look off to the right. So you know it's a normal thing when every single horse is doing it. So what am I going to do? I'm sliding the bit a little bit, keeping his head down, but I push my hands forward when I go up the hill. But my reins are short, so if something popped out up here, I'd be ready. Now, he left the barn just great. He's not barn sour, so that's good news. He's not screaming to his buddy, so he's not buddy sour. But to me, he acts like he hasn't been ridden a ton by himself. So I always ride by myself, so that's going to get much better. Now, right here, there's a drop off on each side. So you see I stopped because he was kind of cutting in and looking to the right, and I didn't want to go in the hole in the left. So I'd rather stop, and I kind of bumped him to push him over. Again, horses see different than us, so you think they see holes and things, but they always don't. And they're looking at it 2 eyes. The fact they can figure out anything is beyond me. They're looking, they see 2 different sceneries with each eye, so that makes it hard. And if they turn their head, they see different things. So if you have a hole on the sides of you or coming up, this is very narrow here, he's doing really well. And things are hitting me in the head as we're going over these. Remember, horses that were ridden in the desert won't be used to branches whacking you, so they might spook. Same thing, not their fault. This is not a desert horse, but just telling you. So you know you go into branch and the horse bolts, that's why. Just not used to it. So we want to make sure he's paying attention to us. He's walking out. Because if you go out and you go out really slow, you're not going to wear any of the energy off. And if they get scared, they're going to be full of the energy. So go forward when you leave. Don't go running, because that brings adrenaline up. You just want to flat walk. Just flat walk, let them warm up. Get their gait, the gait you really want to work at too. Remember, I wrote that article on the flat walk, but I also have videos on it. This is the basis of all your gaits. If you can't flat walk, your other gaits aren't going to be as consistent. So I'm not going to stop. You can hear he's breathing a little hard, but for right now I want to wear some more of this energy off. So what am I doing? So I'm riding. I have a light contact, so it's kind of like I'm holding little chickens in my hands. My reins a little bit wide, just to help him in case he does get scared up here, because then it's much easier for me to pull out to the side and not backwards, because sometimes they're running backwards when they're scared. And then I'm just alternating my calf pressure. I'm pushing with one leg and then the other. See his ears going all around? That tells you where he's looking. Is he paying attention to me or things ahead? So he's got some attention on me, but he's also got some attention on ahead. Oh, we found the perfect place to pee. Nice deep sand. So, and that's good. If they're peeing, they're usually pretty comfortable, because when they pee, they have to stop and stand for a while. When they're pooping a lot when you're out on trail, that's a different story. They're unloading weight. And if they got diarrhea, that tells you they're really nervous. If they just keep pooping and it's a little bit loose, that can be nerves as well. And so you just are being aware that that horse might need more help. Okay. Oh, isn't that nice? He sidestepped so we didn't step in the pee. Okay. So when you're riding, you want to be looking ahead, and you can look all over. I can look to the right and I can look to the left, and you can't see me doing that. But you don't want to let the horse look all over. If they look all over, there was a rock under that dirt. It's all the horses. If you let them look all over the place, they won't pay attention to where they're going or where their feet are. It's the same thing if you're looking all over the place and walking, or you're looking down at your phone and texting and you're not paying attention, you're going to trip on more stuff. You want to keep your horse paying attention to where it's going. So again, if you're going to let it look, I like to stop, because some of these horses tend to drag their feet more. So now we're going downhill, so I got my weight back. I'm kind of standing a little in my stirrups, and he's handling it quite well. So I'm not half halting or anything. When I had him on pretty steep trails in El Dorado County, and he learned how to handle his feet back then. So even if he hasn't been on any, he's doing really well. So again, when a horse shortens his stride, because sometimes that makes people worry something's wrong with them. If it's going downhill, it shortens its stride, but it continues to go down its hill, even if it walk, stop, because that's an exercise I do, and other trainers, I'm sure, do it. Nothing's wrong with the horse. It's just trying to get on its back end and do the right thing, okay? But if you get to a hill and the horse completely refuses to go down the hill, it's either the saddle fit or something's wrong. Okay, that's something you have to work up. So when anything comes up, because people always say stuff about gaited horses, they look funny from the back, they're doing weird stuff, you have to analyze it yourself. Okay, so to me, he's getting more comfortable out here. His ears are moving around, but his head's low. So again, the sign that your horse is not comfortable being out there by itself: head high, ears forward, jumping around, tail up, snorting, keep smelling things. Okay, and your speed control, you can't control it. It's going really fast. Usually if they're scared, they're not going really slow. Okay, but sometimes people don't know that. All right, so we're going to go a little faster up this hill. So again, I don't want to go too fast. I'm working on his gaits because he wasn't holding the same speed in the arena. Out here he's doing pretty good. But if people don't ride arena, that's what happens. So I always ride the horses a couple days in the arena and a couple of days on the trail. Makes a more all-around horse. Okay, so he's doing pretty good. Clock. So he did a little saddle gait up the hill. He didn't canter, and I don't think they've been cantering him that much. So that was just a test, like, what's he going to do? So he brought his head up, and I let him. And usually if they bring their head up, that's what they're going to do. They're either going to do a saddle gait, or they might pace. They usually don't trot so much with their head real high, although some of them can do. Okay, so you didn't see it, but a bird just flew out on the right. Okay, and again, we're out here alone. What did he do? He jumped in place. Who cares? Like, that's fine. Now that might scare you, but it's something you just got to get over. You just got to get used to it. You got to trust the horse, and once the horse knows the trails and knows you, all of that will start going away. Unless you're a really nervous person, then it's going to take a lot longer. Then you might need to hand walk that horse for a while. Get your confidence up, get their confidence up. Just ride them in the arena or ride them around the barn where you feel safe. But horses do jump, people jump, right? How many times somebody jumps out of a closet or something happens, you come around the corner and somebody's there and you jump. What if I said, well, I'm not going to take you unless you never jump? You'd be like, well, what if someone comes around the corner and scares me? Well, I don't care. I don't want you unless you don't jump at all. Like, well, good luck with that. So most horses will jump a little, especially if they're younger, don't have as much experience, and again, if they're not confident out here by themselves. So for their first time out, he's being great. Look at Tilly's videos when she first came out by herself. Holy moly. Okay, so he's pretty confident. He's just got to get used to the trail. And remember me, because, you know, it's coming back to him. They remember your energy. He's like, this lady used to ride me all over the place and make me do all that hard work. Make sure I was a good horse. So this horse has seen a ton. I've taken him to Pebble Beach. I rode him with the police car with the lights on, bonfires, rode in the daytime, rode in the dark, rode alone, rode in groups, rode by bikes, hikers, snakes, all those fun things. Scare the hell out of us. So he's just got to get used to it again, that's all. Okay, and used to another job. We don't give the horses enough benefit. We take them from certain places, certain terrains, you know, they're not used to hills or anything. Maybe their trails were flat, and then we expect them to do all these things like they're perfect. It takes time for the horse to know its new job. It takes about 2 minutes for the horse to know who you are. It takes about a year or more for you to know who the horse is, and then to have a good relationship with one another where you really understand each other. It's usually about 3 years. Many people get a horse and sell it within 6 months because they think it's not going to work out. Maybe it won't, but he did that hill really well. But it takes a long time to build a relationship with the horse. A lot of that should be done on the ground, then done in the arena where you're safe, then done around the barn, and then done on the trail. Okay, it's all in steps. No rush to any of this. It's about relationships with horses and their emotional status. So I'm gonna let him stand here for a minute and look at the field stuff. And then we're going to go down that hill and turn around and come back up, since this is the first time. So I'm just letting them look. If they're really scared, they will not stand here and look. They'll either spin around or they'll keep moving. They won't stand still. And you see, even though my reins are short, he's pretty good. And he just chose to go forward, not backwards. Okay? Now these trails aren't scary, but there are things in the woods. There's deer, there's bobcat, there can be mountain lions, and they just don't know. And the brush is very thick, which makes horses more scary because things can hide in there very easily. And so that's why they can be jumpy in the woods. And then when you're in the open and there's bikes flying by and people and stuff, they don't care because they know those people will be eaten before they will. So it just depends. Horses that are ridden in the woods all the time can be totally fine with it. Okay. See his tongue hanging out a little bit? That's why I think the bit's a little much. Okay, so now we're going to turn around. So you can tell a lot about a horse when you turn it around as well. Because again, this is an out and back trail and I didn't go very far just because I don't think he's in the best of shape right now. But he's not getting fast, he's not taking off, so that tells me he's pretty comfortable. For a horse to be good going out alone, one, they have to trust you. One, they have to know that you're going to keep them safe, so you have to be a leader and be in charge. So that means you do have to look around and pay attention. And when that horse gets nervous, you want to be a good leader by distracting them, like a little leg yield here and there, a little serpentine here and there. And do some stuff with them to get their minds focused on something else. Just like if a person was nervous, you might tell them a story, or you go, hey, let's do this over here, or hey, why don't you hold my hand? You give them things that would make them more comfortable. So it's the same with the horse. Horses' number one thing that they want from you is to feel safe. If they don't feel safe with you, they don't want to stay with you. If they feel safe with you, or that's where they feel the safest, they want to stay with you, no matter if you're taking them somewhere scary or not. They want to be with you because they think that's the safe place. That's why horses run back into their stalls and fire. Even though the fire's coming and it's horrible, they feel safe in their stall or their paddock. So I'm going to stand in my stirrups. This is steep. So he's on his back end, but I'd like him to get a little bit more. And this is kind of the same thing Remy did in the beginning. Remember I said that horse was on his front end? So this horse is more on his hind end, but he's got to do that a little bit better. So I get the feeling he didn't do a ton of hills. Try to remember to ask the people. So the horse wants to go where it feels safest, and that's why they get burned in fires, because they run back in their stall or run back to their home. Okay. So if they feel safest with you, where the scary thing is, that's where they're going to go. So your horse is always freaking out, having issues. Again, some of it's their temperament, like they were born high strung, that's what their parents were like, and they're spooky horses. But you can help them. You can help them all get better. But if they don't believe in you, they don't trust you, and they don't feel safe with you because you keep making poor or bad decisions, or you make no decisions at all, they don't want to be with you. They want to be with the other horses they feel safe, or other people they feel safe with. They don't want to be with you at all, and that's a lot of times why they're running away. They're running back to the barn. They're going back to their buddies. All those things are telling you they don't feel good with you. And that tells you you need to work on some stuff right there. Okay? Or if you're not going to work on some stuff, then maybe you should get an older, calmer horse that will be just fine with those things. Okay, so he's doing good. So the good things, his head carriage is good, his frame is good, his gaits are good. He keeps his speed better out here than he did in the arena, so we'll work on that. He's listening, he's not being an idiot. Overall, very, very good. A very comfortable gait. When I ride him in the arena and you watch it, you'll see more motion, kind of back and forth in the saddle. There's not as much out here, but it's different footing. And this is his flat walk. I like to work a lot at the flat walk. Each horse will shake their head a little bit different, and depends on what they're engaging. You know, are they driving with their back end? Are they pulling with their shoulders? And where their head is and your speed on how much they're going to shake their head. So see, now his head's a little higher, so he's got more head shake. And I pushed him a little bit, and we're going up a slight incline, which naturally collects them. That's why they gait so well on the uphills. Alright, so if you have a pacey horse and you're like, he is horrible. He's horrible going downhill, and he just feels really wonky and wobbly. And on the flat, he feels wobbly. But I go up hills, and he gaits so well when I go up hills. That's because the hill is collecting the horse. The hill is doing everything you're not doing. It's helping engage that horse's back end. It's helping get them stronger. It lightens their front end. And that's what is getting you that nice gait. So that tells you all the things you need to work on in the arena. Okay? You need to work on engagement. You need to work on getting that horse lighter in the front end, not pulling and be heavy on the forehand. You need to get that horse's hindquarter driving and pushing. Okay? And do exercises to help you to do that. You know, go forward and backwards. Do lateral work. He's trying to block my words. Do transitions up and down, okay? Because that will get them on their hindquarters and engaging. So, if your horse gaits in a certain spot, start thinking, what is happening at that spot? Is the footing really deep? Then it's separating that horse's legs more. So that means you need to work on more lateral exercises to help your horse separate its legs, or more pull work. Your horse many times will show you how to get their gait when you see them running loose, or you're riding them in different terrains or up or down hills. Your horse is gaiting really well in one spot. You want to analyze every single thing that's happening at that spot, and that many times will help you to get it an amazing gait. Okay? So right now I'm not doing anything but steering. Now he's getting a little faster, so I'm going to half halt. Don't let them speed up on their own, okay? The speed is up to you, just like your car. If your car starts going faster down the hill, what do? You hit the brake so it stays the same speed. So it's the same with the horse. Don't let them just pick up speed anytime they want, because then when you need them to slow down, listen, back off, engage themselves, you give a little half halt, guess what? They're not going to listen. Everything has to be consistent. So you want the horse to gait on a loose rein at the same speed, and then anytime he changes speed, you have to correct him or give him something harder to do so he doesn't want to change his speed. Okay? But tell them they don't know. They have no idea what we want them to do. So you tell them with your body, your breathing, your hands, and think. Keep thinking when you're out here. Don't space out. Okay? So I'm talking to you, but the whole time I see this flag coming up. He's looking at it a little bit. This is where he peed, but maybe he didn't see the flag when we went by. So I was kind of sliding the bit a little bit. And you're afraid of your own pee. So this is sand. Walking in sand is very good conditioning your horse. It's really good for the pacey horses. The trotty ones, it can make them a little bit more trotty, so don't go too fast. But it really is good for conditioning and getting them to engage their core and drive with their back end. Okay? So if you got nowhere to ride, but you can dump some sand somewhere in your pasture and ride back and forth, hey, why not? Okay? We're making it a circle. Ride around in a circle. So now we're going to go down this little hill again. So, just a little fast. See him throwing his head? He's like, if I just run down the hill, it'll be easier. That's why you don't let them run. They got to learn how to go down the hill slow. Just takes time. There's some horses that have big strides, some that have shorter strides. He has some overreach, but not a lot. And so those ones with the shorter strides, when they go downhill, they're going to feel different. than if you had one with a longer stride. So they can all feel different, and then people start to worry something's wrong with the horse. It's not. It's usually just the way they're made or their conformation. So there he just pulled a little bit and I just held. Now in here where it's very narrow, I try to slow him down but not too much because it's very hard to go through that slow. If you go too slow, sometimes they hit things, like they hit the side. Okay. So let's go back to going downhill. So if your horse is really gaited or is really pacey, they will do those things going downhill. And so your horse will feel different. It might feel odd because maybe it's gaiting down that hill or it's pacing down that hill. So see, he's looking. He's got his ears up. He's not scared, but he's a little bit tenser. So I'm going to slide the bit, breathe. Tell the horse you're okay. We got this. Now we're coming down on the stairs. That was quite good. He rocked back. And he's watching the horses at the barn, but he's being good. He's not screaming or anything. Some of you come to those step downs and you grab the horn, close your eyes and hope for the best. That's okay to do once or twice, but you got to get over that. If you're going to ride hard trails, you got to help your horse to get down those things, because if they just throw themselves down those things, it's not so safe. So practice at home, go over little things like pulls and then a little pull with a downhill, and build your confidence up. It's not just about the horse, okay? It's about you also getting your confidence up, okay? Like here's a little step down here. You want to half vault a little bit, slow down, then sit back and release their head right in front of it so they can get down it and keep your weight back. But unless it's a horse that really knows how to do those things, an older horse that's well balanced, you want to help it. So see him looking? He's shortened his stride. This is, again, a steep hill. Nobody ever thinks it is because of the way it looks on the camera. But it is. So as we get out in the open more, the horses usually are more okay. Now, we weren't around farmland when I had him before, so he's never seen plastic stuff on crops. So that's all going to be new to him. Horses, see many things, but they haven't seen everything, especially when they're younger. So even though on the videos they might look good, see him getting nervous. He's focused on something. So it might be the white bag that's in between the stuff. So remember, I like to stop. My reins are short. Now he said, "Oh, I'm okay. It's a plastic bag." So I didn't even have to push him. I just let him look, and then he went. But they have to get used to their new atmosphere, and they can be very spooky when they are, and that takes weeks to months for them to get used to everything. And the more you get them out, the more you work them and expose them, the quicker they'll get there. If you're not getting the horse out because it's too hot out or you don't have time for it yet, well, that horse is going to stay a little cuckoo. Doesn't mean it wasn't trained or it's not a good horse. It means you're probably not doing the right things to help it to get settled in. And so you got to accept that. You got to accept that and help the horse. Right? The more white horses. Good boy. So we're back. He's not in a rush or anything to get back here, so that was good. And as I always say, like a lot of people say their horses rush home. What do? We work them when we get back here. We tie them up every time. Okay? Some horses are going to be more naturally needy than other horses, especially the ones that have never been ridden alone, or the ones that have only been ridden alone since they were older. Ones that have been ridden alone all their life won't be as needy because they never had anybody except their rider to help them. Okay. So it's nice to ride in groups, but also good to take them out alone build their confidence up in you. And there's no distractions when you're alone, which makes it nice, except for the stimulus out on the trail. Alright, so that's it with Sport. Overall, he did need some hill work. He needs some more rides alone, which he's going to get all the time, so that's not a big deal. He's just going to get braver, and then I'm going to start trailing him out as well, expose him to everything, and make sure he's still used to everything. I tested him here with the bikes and the baby carriage, the hiker stick, and all that stuff. He was fine. But again, when you're on trail, it can be different because it's coming up faster. So do your diligence, get him used to everything, and try to help him. All right, so now I'm going to ride him a little in the arena. So that's it for Sport. Hope that helps.